6 hacks for better dispersed camping. Starting off with a quick and easy one, use frozen water bottles as your ice packs when you pack a cooler. Instead of using ice, which melts and gets everything wet, or using artificial ice packs, which sometimes break or ooze out or sweat weird stuff onto all of my food. Frozen water bottles are such a simple and clean, reusable ice solution for a cooler chest. They don't really sweat that much, they don't get things wet, they're reusable, they're refreezable, and when they melt, since they're contained, they don't leak. It also doubles as drinking water once they've melted. It's a double win. They're clean and it's backup drinking water. Not to mention the usefulness of that for all sorts of other things. Reflectix, or insulation in general. For my car campers out there, something like Reflectix or some kind of insulation can be a real cinch as the weather starts to turn cold. If you're new to camping or to heat exchange, one of the things that you might not understand is that one of the mechanisms that keeps you warm or cold is that you exchange heat with other objects around you. You exchange radiant heat. And this happens in a line of sight kind of nature. You can test this out yourself the next time you're at a campfire. Get close enough that you can feel the fire on the exposed skin on your face. If you get close enough that you can feel that and then put an object like your hand or a hat in front of your face so that you can no longer see the fire and your face is blocked, you'll immediately feel less heat on your face. The distance between you and the fire hasn't changed, but your line of sight with the fire has changed. In fact, there's an object in front of you now that is actually capturing most of the radiant heat exchange from the fire. Instead of your face, which is cooler than the fire, exchanging heat with the fire, the object in front of you is now doing that heat exchange. Why does this matter when you're camping? The same phenomenon can happen at night, especially on a clear, calm night with little to no wind. You will start to exchange heat with the night sky. The temperature of the night sky can be much, much lower than the ambient air temperature that you're camping in. It may be 27 or 32 or 38 degrees, but on a clear night, the sky that you're looking into is much colder, and you'll begin to exchange heat with that night sky unless there's something blocking you from it. This is why your car windshield can frost overnight if it's not parked under a covering or you don't have a frost guard. A material such as glass, which loses heat very quickly, is prone to frost and exchange heat with the night sky. So blocking out the sky from your sleeping area is critical, whether you happen to do that in a tent or a car. Cars can be susceptible because although they look like they should be well insulated, you still usually have windows that you need to cover up if you really want a warmer sleeping setup. If you can not only block out that night sky, but then also trap in some of the heat that you're producing throughout the night, that's even better. A material like Reflectix is really only good for blocking out the radiant heat exchange that happens with the night sky. So I put Reflectix over my windows in order to block that out, and it really does make a noticeable difference. You don't feel the chill of the night seeping into the truck bed throughout the night. You do feel the coldness of the ambient air around you. You can tell that there's something going on, that your sleeping area is now kind of keeping a steady, heated temperature all throughout the night. Again, it's not going to trap the air in there. There's still air seeping out through my tailgate, through the window that I have cracked open, and through heat exchange with the air around me, but I'm not losing that heat to the night sky way off far away that is super cold. But keep that in mind. Reflectix is really only great for covering up your windows. If you're hoping to insulate your camper shell or something else, go for an actual insulative material that has a much higher R value than you would find on Reflectix. And keep in mind that you can also increase the heat just by adding layers to your sleeping setup, whether that's going to sleep in your puffy jacket or double bagging it. You've got lots of options before you really need to step up to a diesel heater. This video is sponsored by Onx Off-Road. I've been a paying customer with Onx Off-Road for a while now. It's a terrific app for planning out and gathering recon for any of my outdoor hobbies, especially anything that has to do with dispersed camping and exploring remote roads. I always check with Onx Off-Road before heading out. In fact, it's already saved me from making a mistake earlier this year. As I was putting together a plan for a hunting trip this past month, I hopped on Onx Off-Road and noticed that one of the roads that I had previously used only a few weeks before was affected by a seasonal closure and would be closed by the time I was in that area. Had I not checked Onx, I would have gotten up there, found the closed gate, and had to make a completely new plan. And Onx Off-Road is great once I lose reception too. With the ability to download offline maps, I always know where I'm at. This is an invaluable aid in being able to stick to my plan as well as mitigate emergency situations. If you're looking to sign up for Onx Off-Road, be sure to check out the description below and use my discount code for 20% off. Another one, have a short or even a long list of items that are always with you or always with your vehicle. For me, it's pretty rare that I leave the house without leaving in the pickup especially if I'm going camping or outdoors somewhere. So for me, the truck is the catch-all for all of these items. So for me, I keep a basic skeleton kit and also add seasonal items throughout the year so that I'm more or less prepared for just about anything, let alone when I actually go and do the additional packing for a camping trip. Doing this not only keeps me prepared, but it also minimizes the headache of packing for normal camping trips. Half of my stuff is already in the truck most of the time. It keeps you more prepared in general, and it also makes those spontaneous trips out easier. There's just less you have to remember and less you have to double check for. Here's a couple ideas. Trash bags, wet wipes, napkins, stove, propane, headlamps, lighter, multi-tool, bear spray, spare clothes, especially socks and undergarments, a backpack, boots, recovery equipment and tools. This can be extensive if you really want to be prepared for everything. But think, what's most likely to break? What tools am I most likely to need? And see if you can put a kit together for that. For me, that even includes a front end service kit. It fits well in my truck, doesn't take up room that I'm using for other stuff, and I know if a lower ball joint ever goes, I should have the tools on hand to replace it. If you leave a lighter, some kindling, and a shovel in your truck, you can just about start a fire anywhere and also have the means to put it out and manage it with the shovel. Another one, have some redundancy in whatever your system and gear list is. Anymore, when I leave the house for a camping trip, I'm usually gonna have multiples of whatever my most important items are. This is especially true for things that are consumable. Think propane, butane, water, food, batteries, anything that you're gonna be using up or going through, think of having a spare or a backup or multiples of it. That could even be things like a knife. If you're planning on using your knife a lot for something, you might want to bring a backup or a blade that you can replace into it. Think about the redundancy that you can build up into your system. That can also look like packing water, but then also packing a water filter. Another example, especially if you're hiking or backpacking or going off trail somewhere or hunting, you might look at bringing a paper map as well as downloading offline maps and bringing a compass. Between the compass and paper map or the offline maps, you should always be able to figure out where you're going. If one fails, you still have the other. Also, have a plan. Not just a plan on where you're going, but a plan to be confident and be certain of your own safety. This has a lot of implications, whether we're talking about recovery gear or being able to handle that random noise in the middle of the night. When you do leave the house and when you're going outdoors, I do find that it's better to have a plan and have an idea and know that you're capable of handling almost every situation that could come your way. Of course, it's not a requirement, but it is something I do recommend. It can bring a lot of peace of mind. There are certainly things that I bring that have led to me sleeping better at night. You might not have this figured out on the first try, and that's a bummer because that's probably the time you're gonna be the most nervous. But as you get out, as you explore and get used to this, you will figure out and have a gauge for what you need to bring in order to feel safe in every situation. The proper recovery gear, the proper personal protection, and the proper training experience and practice to know that you'll be fine no matter what happens. Again, not a prerequisite. There are a lot of people who go out minimally prepared and don't have a plan for personal safety, and that's fine. But especially if other people rely on you, you should have a plan for how to protect and provide for other people that you're hanging out with, as well as yourself. If it applies to you, bring some kind of satellite communicator, especially if you're going on solo trips, and at least let people know where you're going, when you'll be back in cell reception, and when they should start to be worried. I do strongly recommend picking up an adjacent hobby. If you're a dispersed camper, maybe look at backpacking, at fishing, at hunting, at hiking, at rock climbing, something else that's gonna get you outside often. The benefits are twofold. If you have 2 outdoor hobbies, you now have double the reasons to go outside, explore, and have fun. And you also have a larger peer group, more people to share adventures with, bounce ideas off of, and more people who can help you out when the fan. These hobbies might overlap and help you develop skills that are useful to the other hobby, and there's a good chance that these hobbies will even have overlapping equipment. This means that you get more for your money. For every dollar that you have to spend on equipment, you get more use out of it because you're using it in 2 different activities. In my experience, having hobbies that share gear is a blast. I've been taking up hunting and backpacking, spoiler, that's why I haven't been posting as much. And now I'll never go car camping without bringing my binoculars. That's not something that would occur to most dispersed campers, but now that I have them, I'm bringing them and using them every time I have them. It's fascinating to plop down at my campsite, pull out the binoculars, and explore new terrain and look for wildlife with them, which is something that never would have occurred to me until I had them. I've also gotten a lot out of bringing some of my lighter weight or super functional backpacking gear. Occasionally, if I'm trying to make coffee and oatmeal at the same time, if I brought my backpacking stove and I have my car camping Coleman stove, I can do both at the same time. It's weird things like that that wouldn't occur to you, but now that you have the gear, you get more use out of it. You get to use it more often because you have two hobbies that are taking you outside and you're getting to use them. Those are my 6 hacks. Let me know what you think of. Share any tips you have in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.